Ipswich Buses, your local bus company serving your football team. Buses run every 10 minutes. Avoid the traffic. Don't get stuck in the delay. Get Ipswich Buses today. A single from only £1.20, a return from only £2. Find out more information at www.ipswichbuses.co.uk. Ipswich Buses, proud to partner with Talking Town. Again, my friends, and you are my friends. So they say the key to success is consistency. Well, back-to-back victories, and suddenly the league table is looking a whole lot better. And of course, Victory Wednesday always tastes that much sweeter. So tonight, myself, Lewis and TJ, and hopefully you, the viewers, will join us and join in as we, of course, add further reaction to last night's 2-0 away victory to AFC Wimbledon. We'll look at Kane Vincent-Young. What was he thinking? And now who fills in at left back? We've got, of course, the night belongs to Wes Burns. It might have been Burns' night. And well, it was Burns' night, our Wes Burns. And who can fill in on the left and offer maybe the same quality? Because I've noticed when we don't play well, it's because Wes Burns is being kept quiet. So who needs to step forward? I'll ask Lewis, TJ, and of course, you guys and girls at home. And lastly, who played well and maybe who didn't play as well? Our contributors will provide their thoughts. Hopefully, as I can see you are doing now in the chat, you beautiful people will get involved and click the live link to have your say. After all, this is your platform. Then, of course, for the second part of the show, we will turn our attention to Wednesday on Saturday. Player connection quiz, 1 to 11s. And if we have time, because we did not have time on Monday, we'll feature the Prediction League. So, like the video, please. We need you to hit the like button for us. We'll go for 100 likes on today's video. If you're new here, hit subscribe. And of course, before we go any further, I must first remind you all that this is the show and platform here for you, the ITFC fan, every single week. Through hell or high water, win or lose, we aim to bring you not only the very best, but the most entertaining in ITFC chat and content around, with, of course, the chance to have your say on your club in your own words, in addition to, of course, listening and being with other ITFC fans. Except the lemons, because that's right, get checked at the door. As always, if you do get value from the platform, and these wonderful people have done, our YouTube members and our TT Fifth Standers, I know there's some of you to add to these lists. I thank you all so much, because if you do enjoy the chat and if you do enjoy the content, then please do consider supporting me by becoming a YouTube member or a Fifth Stand TT member through Ko-Fi. Links for both are in the description and in the live chat. At $4.99 a month, each show is worth something like 32p, with shows such as Away Day Guide, Talking Darts, Talking Cricket, Talking F1, transfer specials we did last week after Bakinson signed. We'll do again if we add anybody further. And of course, our pre and post-game fans react shows. Last night's now on the channel, over 1,000 views already, all as additional bonus content. Right. There you go. You can't get better than that for $4.99 a month. Let's be brutally honest, even if I do say so myself. Now, let's bring in our first contributor. He is a big darts fan and somewhat of a darts player, it turns out. It's Tom James. Tom, how you doing?
I'm all right, mate. Thanks. How are you?
A while. It's been a couple of hours since I saw you.
Yeah, we had an afternoon record, didn't we? And that was pretty good.
How do you think it went? Tell the viewers at home what we've been up to and how do you think it went?
Yeah, we recorded episode 1 of Talking Darts this afternoon. We had a special guest with us, and yeah, we just talked about the Masters coming up and the Premier League next week. So yeah, if you fancy it, go along to HDR channel and you'll see episode 1 on there. But yeah, I thought it was quite good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. The guest you sourced was really, really good, really good value, really informative. And yeah, Talking Darts, just put in Talking Darts, Talking TT, and it should come up in YouTube. But there it is, thoroughly enjoyable, nearly at 100 already. It's off the ground, as Lewis said backstage, which is the most important aspect of anything, right?
Yeah, you got to try these things. You never know how people are going to take to it, but Dart seems to be quite a big thing on other platforms, or particularly YouTube. There's quite a lot going on there at the minute. So yeah, we've got chatting to some guests at the minute. So we've got a few lined up in the coming weeks, which is quite exciting.
Oh, exciting stuff.
Yeah, just a shout out to Josh, who was on the channel today, and I thought it was great. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. You can, of course, go to our Talking Darts page on Twitter at Talking Darts, like it, and then you'll be kept up to date with all of the Talking Darts stuff. We've got Rob Smith, who enjoyed the darts, TT, Gov, and Tom. Thank you ever so much, Rob. Adam, will there be a deadline day show? Oh, I don't know. It's an idea. I'm going to write that down on my bit of paper, and we'll see if we can't make that into fruition. The Cruncher on deadline day. Can we get him hanging out of a Range Rover somewhere? That would be an interesting one, I reckon. By the way, I've just had to block somebody because they're posting spam links. If a link doesn't come from Talking Town hashtag ITFC or Home Dressing Room hashtag ITFC, don't click it, because it's probably going to be spam or malicious. Just a heads up. I do block them as soon as I see them, but just to let you know. Right, every good contributor needs a decent partner, and tonight, Tom, I have lined up one of our new recruits to provide the zip and the energy. It is, of course, our international Lewis Colin Hendry Robertson. Here he is, the energy, the ball of energy in midfield. How you doing, Lewis?
Yeah, evening. Really good. How are you guys doing?
Very, very well, my friend. As at the start of the show, Victory Wednesday does taste oh so sweet. And we're talking about things off the ground. Well, Town appeared to be off the ground, and obviously you were there last night. Didn't start well for you though, did it? Talk us through your issue, because I believe you had a hole in your pint, dear Eliza.
I did. So set off from Colchester at about 4 o'clock. Thought the M25 or A12 or something would delay us, but we actually breezed through, got there with time to spare, tried to find a pub, walked past hundreds of pubs on the way and thought, no, we'll find a better one. Rookie error. Found a decent looking pub, but it was home fans only and couldn't get in. So decided to go into the ground a bit early, have a pint and something to eat. And bought the pint, went to find a spot to stand. Big queue behind me, and someone sort of shouted out, "Oi, careful, you're spilling your pint everywhere." And I could see the top of the drink and thought, not spilling it at all. I had a hole at the bottom of the plastic cup and it was pouring out everywhere. And there was a trail where I walked past everybody and then turned around and walked back to the bar to inform them, and then tried to drink that pint as quickly as I could whilst they poured me another replacement. So, not the best start, but certainly the night improved from there. Actually.
Have you heard of an account on Twitter called Footy Scran? It's where Tom is nodding his head. Have you heard of it, Lewis?
Yes, all the pictures of the various football food. Yeah.
Yes, there was a chicken burger from the ITFC fans on there over the weekend. £8, tad steep for me and my pocket money, but did look good. Have you seen the AFC Wimbledon submissions on there, either of you, for Footy Scran? I can't say I have.
No, certainly that pint wouldn't feature on it. But I did see chicken burger. It looked all right. But you say about £8. Don't ever go to the Emirates because it's about 20 quid for a burger.
I support Ipswich, Lewis. I've seen 2 Premier League seasons in 32 years, man. What do you mean don't go to the Emirates? I'm still going to Highbury. It's still around, right? It's flats now, isn't it? With a plaque that says welcome. I think it says welcome to Highbury. Anyway, now on to last night. I said about new recruit Bakinson. How good was he for you, Lewis? How good was Tyreek Bakinson for you, having watched him in the flesh?
Yeah, I was really impressed. He was just calm, and he also wanted the ball. Came short to take the ball off the back three, then became back four. And yeah, I mean, he tried to get up in support. I think they changed the system second half. He played slightly further forward, but wanted the ball, was composed on the ball, and yeah, hit some decent through balls as well. And yeah, I mean, less said about his shot at the end, the better. But other than that, I thought it was a really good full debut.
Was it a penalty for you? Have it at the time in the ground? Did you get a look at it? Did you manage to see it?
It was the other end to us.
Okay.
Yeah, difficult to tell. I think if we'd conceded a penalty like that, you'd be disappointed. So I think he was possibly a touch soft, considering he's 6'3", 6'4". But others, and possibly seeing it on iFollow, you may have a different opinion. But it was hard to see from where we were.
You say that, but I'm just waiting for the chat to say, well, Sam Morsey's got a 4-match ban for not too dissimilar sort of.
Mark Ashton needs to get himself on Twitter and start tweeting these things.
He's got the cruncher for that, who we'll hear from in a moment to chat that type of stuff. Tom, you obviously watched it on iFollow the same way I did. Oh, and for those that are wondering, and many of you asked, Neil is perfectly fine. He didn't make the full-time show because he fell asleep. So some things don't change with Mr. Moles. But, Tom, you watched it on iFollow the same way I did. How did you see Bakinson's performance through the screen?
Through the screen, I wasn't massively impressed, to be honest. But I thought the midfield two were okay, but just a bit lightweight for me. I kind of agree with Lewis that it was good that he wanted to get on the ball. That was good to see, kind of like Carroll, but just a little bit lightweight in there. And we were obviously missing Morsey a lot, I think. I think that there just wasn't enough in there, and we were quite lucky. We were only playing Wimbledon with respect to them, but we were also lucky that they'd lost a fair bit of their spine in the few days previous to it as well. So they weren't as strong. And that helped us. And yeah, Bakinson, I think he'll grow into it. I think it would be harsh to expect loads in 1 and a bit games when he's really wasn't expected to play this much already. So yeah, I look forward to seeing what he does next. Yeah,
likewise. That's why I asked, because obviously seeing the game in person and live with the atmosphere, the lights and everything else, and the angle is much different to the screen. I've got 1 foot in either camp, if I'm honest. I don't know if I was impressed, but I don't know if I was underwhelmed. I felt it was okay. And we'll come on to Tom Carroll shortly, because there's an interesting stat that I've seen. But Rich, Cruncher, are you going for a gimmick infringement on the milk tray man tonight?
Well, what's that? In black?
Yeah, absolutely in black. Looking suave, my man. Looking good.
Left chest hair, though.
Wow. We don't have your word for that, I'm afraid. So, last night, Tyreek Bakinson, how did you see before?
I totally agree with Tom, and I watched the post-game show, and I listened to Steve and Alex. Yeah, and they give him man of the match, and I thought, you must have been watching a totally different game than I was, because I thought he done okay. They both done okay, Tom. Nothing more than a 6 out of 10 for either of them. And we massively missed the drive from Sam Morsey in the midfield last night.
Yeah. Do you really feel we missed Morsey last night? Sorry, Tom.
Yeah, massively.
Okay, sorry.
You know, especially the first half. The first half, it was tepid, wasn't it, Lewis? There wasn't a lot happening. It was more entertaining watching. Well, I'll call them stewards. We'll probably come on to that, Martin. Stewards, were they security? I've been to a lot of town away. I've been to a lot of town away games over the years, Gov, and I've never seen so many stewards, security, whatever you want to call them. I thought they were pretty heavy-handed, if I'm quite honest. And no wonder AFC Wimbledon have got no money to spend on their players. The amount of there must have been 100 of them easily. And I've heard stories of them offering town fans out after the game. And if that's true, that's a fucking disgrace.
Well, we don't know if that's true or not. But
no, I've heard story. Listen, I've heard that firsthand.
You want some? I'll give it you.
I think
it's not the Wilson Raider, Lewis. It's the Wimbledon Raider.
And Lewis wasn't the only one who had a hole in his pint, because we were queuing for some food, and there was another guy, and it was fucking pissing out the bottom. Listen, Lewis, the away, not just there, a lot of away grounds I go to, the service you get is woeful at best. I see there was a girl there. She was pouring pints out. They looked like fairy liquid, and then she was pouring the top out and then pulling a little bit more. My mate Budge had a sausage roll. That was weren't cooked in the middle. But what I did have was 2 Greggs sausage rolls given to me by Matt Stannard at half time in a Tupperware box. Thanks a lot, Matt.
Oh, Matty Stannard coming through. Lewis, did you not get in on the sausage roll action?
No, and at half time I walked along the front specifically to see if I could spot Matt and Rich, because I think Cruncher mentioned the other day that Matt was bringing sausage rolls for his birthday. Happy birthday again for yesterday. But yeah, I agree. The organisation and the first time I've been to a stadium, and it is strange. The big bricked buildings around it, it is a very strange environment for a football stadium to be in. But they all stood in a line. You had to walk down the middle of them. For some, I can imagine it was quite intimidating, all these, big stewards, but there was a lot of them, like Rich said. And yeah, I mean, I didn't witness anything myself. I didn't experience anything myself of that kind of behaviour of people being offered out and things like that. But yeah, it was a bit OTT, and they were just, it was like something from Squid Games, if you've seen that on Netflix. They're all dressed in black. They all marched around in a line together. It was very regimented. It was what it was. I think on the point about the midfield and Bakinson, we were very, very square, particularly first half. And that's because Carroll and Bakinson, and I don't think Aluko was as effective last night. There was nobody driving forward, like Rich said. And so we were very parallel to each other. No one really pushing on, everyone looking to come deep and get the ball. And we suffered as a consequence because we were keeping hold of the ball, but we weren't really able to expose the middle of the pitch because we were too deep, I think, in that area.
Don't mention Aluko, will you? Whatever you do, we'll have Colin again coming after me.
I had Colin in this morning when I said I thought he was pretty average last night. He's like, you know what? Why? Chaplin all day long over Aluko for me.
Rich, talk to us then. What about this stewarding, and also about other things that you've heard? Limbs.
Yeah, look,
what's going on?
I think you find this. You went to Charlton, didn't you, Lewis?
No, I had to miss it in the end.
I think when we get these like London away games, a lot of people go on the lash, don't they?
Any away game, a lot of people go on the lash.
They get on the beer, and then when they're at the ground, they have little sort of thought for other people. Now, I've contacted the club today about where the disabled fans were positioned. Lewis was at the front, right? So when we score a goal, what happens? Everyone piles down the front. People sort of in the way. They've got no thought of these people, just knock them over. And that is a disgrace. You look after your fellow fans when you go to a game, but a lot of our fans, Martin, don't seem to get that, But I think they've got to look, and I think they will. I've spoken to Stuart Hayton today, who's the club secretary. I've emailed him. They need to get something in place because the same thing happened at Wickham. They were at the front there, the disabled, and they need to find somewhere. Look, I know that might not be down to town, but they need to liaise with these away clubs when we go in there, because everywhere we go in, we're taking thousands, aren't we? We're always sold out.
Yeah.
You need to look after these fans and don't put them in harm's way, Martin. Put them somewhere safe.
It shouldn't be in harm's way. It's this modern thing about limbs. After a goal,
I don't disagree with you. But I'm just saying it's happened more than once.
Well, it has. And also, while we're at it, wheelchair users at the front. That doesn't make any sense because those stewards have got a job. They are told you walk along, you form a barrier. It happened at Cambridge. We were slightly up 3 steps, me and Graham Brooke. The disabled users were in front. The stewards came along at about the 75th minute. You couldn't. If you were down there, you wouldn't have seen the pitch.
No, they were standing in their way last night and they were told to move out of the way because you can't watch the game. Because they were there the whole game, weren't they, Lewis? They were lined along that stand from the first minute till the 90th minute.
Not acceptable.
It was like the last game of the season when they line up expecting a pitch invasion for the last game of the season. I agree.
I don't mind people running on the pitch, by the way.
Sorry?
Easy, fella. Easy.
I'm just saying, you can't have it both ways. This is what I'm saying. You were all right on Sunday about a 12-year-old kid running on the pitch, Tom. He said he likes it in League One. And I said, I don't care where you are. You can't have that.
I wouldn't ban him, is what I said.
I'd ban him and his dad. Because if I let one of my kids run on the pitch, I'm responsible for him, right? And Leeds United now, because they've had people running on, want to get shirts. Liverpool had some kid run on and got the ball, didn't they? I don't know if we all see that on social media. I think for one of the Champions League, jump back over the barriers. That's not acceptable, Martin. Entering the field of play, it doesn't matter if you're 12 years old or you're 50 years old. It should be the same rules for everybody as far as I'm concerned. Maybe I'm just going off on one here.
Not like you to do that.
Have you ever seen the footage of Brian Clough punching the... I think it was Forest, when he was at Forest.
They played
QPR. They played QPR. That was a cup game, Lewis. And then they had to... He met up with the fans and he was kissing them afterwards because he's given them a clip round the ear and he two of them belted them properly.
Yeah, that's right. And I think there's a book, isn't there, called Provided You Don't Kiss Me, which is a biography on Brian Clough. Yeah. But, I was at Wickham. I wasn't at Charlton. And I agree. You know, in the heat of the moment, people rushing forward. Last night, Burns scored. He ran behind the goal, and I'm not saying it's Burns' responsibility, far from it. But yeah, I think something more needs to be done to ensure. And Alex talked about home games as well, didn't he? He was on the show a couple of months ago. And yeah, I think someone needs to take ownership of ensuring that everybody gets a safe and enjoyable experience rather than almost being in fear of us scoring a goal, because that's the last thing that anyone would want.
I totally agree. And Tom, if you paid for a ticket and had a limited view, there'd be uproar on social media. Why is that any different for our disabled supporters and our wheelchair users? Because they've had 90 minutes, it sounds like, of just some bloke just staring at a bloke or a woman who's doing steward.
Yeah, it sounds terrible, to be honest. Obviously, I wasn't there. I didn't really see it through the screen either, so something needs to be sorted out. But yeah, good on you for contacting the club, Rich. That's at least a step forward and hopefully something they can sort out.
You know our Rich. He takes it all the way to the top.
I don't want to be seen as a killjoy. You go to football to enjoy it, but it should be for everybody to enjoy. And when people are pissed, and I'll say they were pissed, a lot of people. You got it at Charlton, you got it at Wickham. Like I say, they've got no care for anyone else. And as a fellow fan, it's unacceptable. It is.
I agree. Completely agree.
You see it at Cambridge, Martin. You were there first stand at Cambridge and you see it.
Oh, I was there first stand, all right? Yeah.
There you go. So.
I did another away game again. Wes Burns. It was obviously Burns' night or Burns' night. Wes Burns, phenomenal. TJ, kick us off on this one. Just how good has he been? Has he surpassed your expectation from the summer? And who can step forward on the left? 3 questions. I'll put it to all of you. But who can step forward on the left? Who can take it? As I said at the start of the show, when Wes Burns doesn't play well or is kept in check by a fullback, we're blunt. We are blunter than a rusty pair of scissors. Oh, I don't know. I'm not very good at analogies. But we're blunt. Go on, Tom.
Let's start with Wes then. Yeah, I love him so much. First signing through the door over the summer. I remember his game on the last game of the season when he played Fleetwood and thought, hey, he looks all right. He scored that goal. Didn't really think much of him or heard of him before, but he's been incredible. He's got 7 goals for us now, 7 or 8. I think it's 7. And yeah, we need him to tick. Like as a team, he sets up Bond sets him up now, and they've got a really good rapport. He's great down the right side with whoever plays there. We need him, and I think he's surpassed all expectations, and he's probably player of the season shout at the minute, I think.
Big shout. Yeah, I would completely agree with that. Lewis, Tom makes a great point there about, setting up Bond. Obviously, Bond didn't play last night, but is it just the fact that he's so different to what we have in the squad? There's not a player like Wes Burns who, when he receives the ball, has 2 instincts: beat a man or shoot. That's all he's kind of got in the locker. And that's all he needs, because it's bloody good and effective. But there's nobody else in the squad, or is there? You tell me.
So at the moment, there isn't. I agree. I agree with everything TJ said, that, he's direct, but also as well, the runs he makes are intelligent. He knows when to run inside, in between the fullback and the centre half, rather than just running outside of the fullback and going the easy option, which is to just stay out wide. And he's got 3 goals this week from running into that area, direct running into the right channels. And I think he could easily, based off the first half of the season, I think he could play for a top half championship team easily. So I think we're fortunate to have him. Obviously, that's where we aspire to be, but I would have absolutely no concerns at all about if we manage to get up, whether it be this season or next season, Burns being a key championship player for us. It is the intelligence of his runs as well as the directness as well, I think, that has really impressed me so far.
That's an interesting point that he raises there, Rich, that Lewis raises. We've had this conversation off air a couple of times. For me, I don't know if Wes Burns would be effective in the Championship, because currently, all things considered, when he comes up against a good fullback who knows how to defend the right way, he really struggles.
Yeah, I think when we played Wickham, he struggled, didn't he, Martin? He didn't. Yeah, a couple of times. Well, Bolton, they sussed us out. We had nothing down either side. And look, he's played well. I think he scored 8 goals now, Tom. Mm-hmm. And you've just got to look at the stats, Martin. When he doesn't play, against sort of when he does play, you know, we really struggle without him. And he is a key player, and we need to keep him fit for the rest of the season. And if we get out of the league this season, and we can talk about it then, going to the Championship. But at the minute, he's a first division player playing against first division fullbacks. If he steps up a level, he's going to have to raise his game. You know, there's no doubt. You're playing at a higher level against players who've played in the Premier League, you know, if you get to the Championship. So let's just cross that bridge when it comes. But it's great, isn't it, to have a player with pace, because we've spoken on here loads of times, Martin. Everyone hates pace, but it's that switch of play in it, that from left to right. And that goal yesterday, it was the first time really that he got that space, wasn't it? Because in the first half, he didn't get it. The game opened up a little bit second half. And it was interesting to hear Kieran McKenna, when I heard his interview, saying we lost control for the first 15 minutes. And we probably did, didn't we? We were a little bit lucky. Could have gone behind with that one. I think it's come off Wolf, and then this sort of bit of a scramble in the area. I thought Wimbledon, Lewis, were a decent team. A lot of young players, tried to play the game the right way, but they just lacked any presence up front, because obviously they sold Ollie Palmer. He went to Wrexham. I was watching that thinking, there's a man on our bench who'd fit in this team. He's called Joe Pigott.
Yeah, it was interesting first half, watching them warm up, because obviously I was in the corner of the away end nearest to the dugout, and the subs were warming up in front, and Pigott spent most of the first half chatting to the Wimbledon subs. I made a joke to my brother-in-law that they'll probably be in training together by next week, because I think you're right. I think they were handy. They were decent. The first 15 minutes of the second half, they gave us a real run around and had a couple of attempts. There was also the one that got curled just past the post. Don't know if Walton had it covered, but he was at full stretch. And yeah, they kept going to the end, didn't they? And I think they'll be all right, Wimbledon. I think they'll stay up. I think they've got some games in hand. I think one of them was last night. Obviously, they got nothing out of that. But I saw enough from them to suggest they'll be safe again for another year, which is probably the height of their ambition. But with regards to us and Wes Burns, you're right. Both goals came from us switching the play, which goes back to what I said in the first half. We didn't look to switch the play. We kind of played small, short triangles. The midfield was very flat. And yeah, it was only obviously the two switches that created the 2 goals, and that was the difference.
Rich, before I let you go, because there's some feedback on your line, just take you off while I'm talking. Kayden Jackson, wasn't Jake James. Somebody asked in the chat, I think it was Lewis O'Connor. Here we go. Thoughts on Jackson getting the nod over Chaplin or Senior? Obviously, we mentioned the switch of play. First goal came from that switch of play from Jackson. What are your thoughts on Lewis O'Connor's question there?
See, it's hard for someone like him. He's played literally no football, Martin. But it was interesting to hear Kieran's comments after the game. He's got the nod because he's been working hard in training. So obviously he's been working harder than Joe Pigott, hasn't he, in training? And I looked at his day. He run 9K in that game. There's some interesting stats to see on the Town Twitter feed. What was it? How many metres he'd run? Sprints, nearly 2,000 metres or something. I thought he'd done okay, no better than okay. You know, he was involved in that first goal. I'd be surprised if he kept his place for Saturday at Sheffield Wednesday. But it's another option now for Kieran. You know, he's got him back involved and he's still contracted, Martin, to the football club till the end of the season. So if there's value in using him and playing him and we can get something out of him, but it does leave questions on Joe Pigott. Where does that leave him? There you go. Where does that leave Joe Pigott? Because he's not getting a minute, is he? And I don't think at the minute he really fits in with the style of play that we're playing. Look, you could get injuries, you don't know. But at the minute, I see Jackson now ahead of Pigott, which, if you'd said that at the start of the season, I think everyone would think you're going bonkers, wouldn't you, really? But it's another 3 points. We just got to take each game as it comes. And I said to Colin today, I think we shouldn't be really building Saturday's game up as a massive game. It's a big game, but it's just another game. It is just another game. But saying that, it's a game I think that we need to win. I'm not having people saying, oh, yeah, a point would be a good result. At this stage of the season, where we are and what we've had at the first 6-7 games, which I've said, and I'll say it again, that's what's hampering us. That's why we are chasing the pack. This is why when we play these teams, Sheffield Wednesday, Oxford, Plymouth, Portsmouth, we've got to beat them. Don't say, oh, we don't want to lose to them, we'll take a point. Nonsense. Let's get up to Hillsborough. We've got nothing to fear. We're going to take 3,000 fans up there. Let's get a win. Let's get 3 points on the board and let's get that snowball rolling. What did Colin call it last night? Is it up to a football, is it now? There you go.
Perfect. Rich, as always, a pleasure. Look after yourself. We'll speak soon. Great comments there from the Crunch. I like how he said, we're not going to build it up, Tom, and then proceed to say, I don't want people to say, let's take a point. But I thought we weren't going to build the fixture up, Rich. Love him. Tom, yesterday, you mentioned Bakinson. We've mentioned Carroll. You might be surprised to find that Tom Carroll was given a higher score than Bakinson by some stat sites. Are you surprised at that? Did you feel Tom Carroll did perform better than Bakinson? How do you personally? I know you made notes, etc., and I'll come to you as well, Lewis, having been there. So your perspective, how did you rate Tom Carroll's performance yesterday? And will he keep his place for you for Saturday?
He performed no better than Bakinson, in my opinion. Again, I thought he keeps the ball well. He keeps it ticking over, but is just a lack of bite in the midfield too with those both there. I think they do from what I can see so far, similar things, or they have done similar things, but I don't know enough about Bakinson to know what he's all about, really. So it could be a good partnership, but I've 6 out of 10 for the pair of them. Nothing spectacular, but yeah, that's about it.
I think from memory, Lewis, Carroll got like an 8. I'll have to quickly have a look while you're talking, but I think got an 8. Tom Carroll, he perplexes me a bit, Lewis. I'm going to be brutally honest. He's falling into the John Nolan category for me. I'm not quite sure what he does. What does he do?
I think he provides an outlet to take the ball off of the back 3, back 4. So he makes himself available, comes short and keeps the ball moving. You don't see any Lee Evans style kind of Hollywood passes. He's not spraying the ball left, right and centre. He just keeps the ball ticking over. I was disappointed last night with his set pieces. I thought his corners were poor. I kind of felt both him and Aluko, when they were signed in the summer, were more experienced squad fillers. And I would say of the two, I've personally been more impressed with Aluko and his contribution than Carroll. But I think I agree with Tom, really. A very similar player to Bakinson. I felt Bakinson looked to be a bit more progressive in his passing. Not much in terms of the score difference, but I certainly wouldn't have given Carroll 8 out of 10, personally, if that's what he was scored.
It was my mistake. He was given us an early 7, so 7.1. I think it was. Adie's thought the same about Carroll. Stephen said, "What the manager asked him to do? These are two players who've had little football. I'm not sure we remember that. Wear that blue shirt, cross that white line. I'll hold you to a high standard. Simple as that. I think, Lewis.
I think it was a case of obviously the situation with Morsey, and it got announced at 4:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I don't know when the club would have been notified, but it would have been at some point, I assume yesterday. So little time to work together with the two of them. They've obviously now got a couple of days, if that's going to be the starting two in midfield ahead of Sheffield Wednesday on Saturday. But considering Carroll has played 2 90-minute games back-to-back in the space of 3 days, I think he did all right. I think it's fine. But I agree with Tom. I think they're too similar to go even over the course of Morsey's suspension with both of them, but who we bring in alongside which of those two is a bit of a challenge, because we don't know how long Evans is going to be out for.
We've heard nothing
Elmazuni
about that.
and Harper have both been made available for loan. So I'd assume we're probably going to look to stick with those two for the time being while Morsy's out.
Which seems, for me, Tom, if you make Elmiz and Harper available for loan, why not bring them into the fold? Why not see what you can get out of them? Because as Lewis says, Tom Carroll has played 290 minutes, but you wouldn't be forgiven for thinking you've got a spot of amnesia, because I can't remember anything he's done in those 290, and I've seen him play both. Honestly,
No.
I'm struggling there.
No, I'm the same. And I was surprised we didn't have another central midfield on the bench.
Big surprise.
At least one of them. But yeah, Elmiz would have at least have a little bit of bite about him. I think he's what we needed in the Morsey replacement a bit more. But yeah, I don't know. I fear that those two against Sheffield Wednesday might struggle in comparison to what we had at Wimbledon. So that's my only worry, was we need a bit more steel in there. We need someone to carry the ball forward, which one of them can do, and we need someone just to sit a bit more and do a bit more protecting.
Who would that man be for you? Who do you feel is in the squad outside of obviously the suspended Morsey that can bring the steel?
I'd probably say Elmazuni. I think only from what I've seen this season, which again has been very little, we've got players in reserve who haven't really played that much, so it's not the greatest fallback for us at the minute. We've got Evans, but again, we don't know how fit he is. We've got Fraser, who could play in a 2, but is he going to get sold? Is he unfit? He's disappeared. So yeah, only from what I've seen, I'd go for Elmiz and maybe Bakinson at the minute if Carroll can't stay fit or play that many games in a row.
Scott Fraser still around, says James. If so, put in a couple of good shifts. Carrying an injury or is injured. Lewis, how bad, how silly, how rash, what phrase would you give it, the Kane Vincent Young red card?
Rash. And it wasn't the only challenge that was rash. I mentioned the shot Wimbledon had that just curled past the post. If you watch the highlights in the build-up to that, he takes out his man there. And I actually thought, until corrected afterwards, his first yellow card had been for the late challenge that resulted in that when the ref played advantage. He just seemed a bit unsteady last night, a bit nervy. Couple of slice clearances, couple of rash challenges. And with the second booking, he's tried to go in and win the ball. The bloke's trying to turn to go on the outside of him. He could have stayed on his feet. Either the bloke would have run the ball out of play, he could have knocked it out for a throw-in, or the bloke goes to cross it, it hits him and goes out for a corner, which even if Wimbledon score that corner, is 2-1 with the last kick of the game, and he's still available for Saturday at a time when we haven't heard anything about Bailey Clements recently. Matt Penny has had a knock, and look, I have more time for Matt Penny than some, but he didn't play very well against Bolton, and KVY, it was the right call to bring him in. But Penny's had a knock, not heard anything about Clements. Coulson's back, but I don't think he's ready for a start. So all of a sudden, we're scratching around for a left back when, based on a rash challenge. And it's adding to that narrative around KVY that for whatever reason, and he has been unlucky, he can't establish a run of games in the team. And this was his chance. And yes, I believe it's only a one-match ban, but it's a break in that routine of him establishing himself in that position.
Tom, what did you make of the red card? I said on last night, the fans react post-game show, he didn't need to make it. We're 2-0 up, dying embers of the game. You don't need to be making that challenge. It's a silly one to make. But as Lewis said, he was on the ropes all night long, it seemed.
Yeah, tired, lack of concentration in that challenge. And I think he knew when he turned away, that's a booking. But I think his first yellow was down to our team slowing things down. A bit of time wasting from Walton, other throw-ins that we had on the other side as well. We were slowing things down a lot. And the ref, I think he just picked one player who was slowing it down and went, right, that's for all of you. And it happened to be KVY. And I think it just so happens he got 2 yellows because of the stupid challenge at the end. But yeah, sad. I thought he was poor last night overall. It's a shame. He's still not played as much. He's not got a run of games. So I hope there's a player in there, but we've not seen it since those first 6 games when we signed him. It's just a shame. There's a lot of potential in there and a lot of expectation, but I'm just not sure he's going to be the long term for us.
Another player hampered by injuries. You see, we've got Burns, KVY, all the talking points from last night. Bring the fisherman in. Fisherman, nice to see you. How are you, my friend? I'm eager to hear your thoughts this evening.
Yeah, I'm not too bad. I've had an interesting few days, shall we say? But yeah, look, I watched the game last night. I thought I actually enjoyed it, even though it was a bit messy at times. I actually enjoyed it. I thought that, I think I think we've said this a few times. If we were under Cook, I think we would have lost that game last night. With the way that Wimbledon set up. Walton game was very good. Defensively we weren't bad. A few mistakes. KVY, I'm a little bit annoyed with him because I kind of felt you want to get a card, just don't make a challenge like that. You're asking to you're getting the referee to make a decision, and he's going to get booked. He was lucky not to get booked earlier on when he went to clear the ball and ended up kicking the player. So I think he was lucky there. But I mean, look, I know Jackson passed the ball to Norwood, but Norwood's turn was just brilliant. It really was. Real class, and laid the ball off to Burns for him to score that goal. I thought it was good. Oh, look, Jackson runs a lot, doesn't he? It just kind of... It's been a sort of ongoing issue with him. He can run and run and run, and no one questions his work ethic. It's just his footballing ability that I have a little bit of a issue with. He's really struggled, and I just think he's just part of an era now that we kind of need to move on from.
You make two great points there, Mike, and I want to pick up on both. The first one is you say we wouldn't have won that game under Cook, and I think you're completely right. But I actually think it's because the luck has turned a little bit with us now. You've got Walton. Some are saying amazing save. I'm saying fluky save. It's hit his back leg. He doesn't know much about it. But that's the luck Paul Cook and Ipswich Town, more importantly, was not getting in the early part of the campaign. That would have gone in. That would have been 1-0. That could have been the start of another away defeat. We're just getting that luck now, which is what you need. Every good team, every playoff team, every champion, they need that run of luck, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. Apart from the Bolton game, which we could just put that down to just Bolton being a bogey side. The reality was there was a pretty poor mistake by Edmondson there. And I didn't think he had a particularly great game yesterday. I thought he was consistent, but just... There was a couple of sort of wobbly moments. I felt he wasn't sort of, but the reality is that we are getting a lot more luck. I'd agree with you. I think the save was a fluke. Didn't know much about it. But then you could argue the game before that he pulled off an absolute worldie from a deflection. So, it's one of those, isn't it? For me, I like under Cook. That would have, I think our heads would have gone down quite quickly. And I think, if we'd have conceded... I think,
is it fair to say, Tom, that the players themselves these days seem more bought... Is it the right way to say more bought into the plan? But certainly more armed with more information, or it seems on the pitch, how they have more answers at their disposal. Because something's a little bit different, isn't it? Obviously, it's going to be. They're different managers. But even the players themselves look... as Mike was just sort of alluding to there, look more confident. The heads don't drop half as quickly. What do you put that down to, Tom?
Yeah, I think quite a few player interviews we've had in the past few weeks have talked about higher standards. And I think there's something that's been drilled in recently where they feel like there's more knowledge there. There's more experience with higher class players at Man United where they feel they're learning a lot more and they could get a lot more out of it. So, yeah, I feel like they're inspired a bit more, I think, to perform at a higher level because they've got someone who's done that with other players. So yeah, I think they've just upped their game for that, and they've got a bit more thought about them. There's a bit more of a plan for each individual player as well as the team. They all know their roles. They all know what they're meant to do if this happens or if this happens. So if we go behind, you think like this. And I just think there's a lot more cohesion about everything we do at the minute.
Absolutely. I'm trying to signal, but Mike, I've just put you on mute there. That was me that's done that I'm just getting some feedback. I'm not quite sure if it's the line, if it's me, if it's the system. That was me, just to let you know why you're on mute. And I was trying to signal while Tom was talking without distracting Tom. You know. Sorry, my friend. I'll bring you back in though, Mike, because you do say Jackson. Yes, okay, maybe he's not the greatest football player in the world, but he does run his heart out. But he's playing Ipswich Town Football Club, and when the club put their tweet out earlier today, you know, some fans on Twitter, do we need to remember this is a chap that plays for the blue and white and wears the famous badge, and currently he's a part of us, and it should be an us versus the world mentality, and you know, he is our player. We need to look after him as such, and protect him and big him up. More importantly, you know, build him up, motivate him. What do you think?
I think he's gay part of the relegation team, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? At one point, I was like, well, Bournemouth are in for him, so there must be a player in there. I don't know. Maybe he's being played out of position. I don't know. I mean, look, he scored a couple of good goals this year in the FA Cup or the EFL, the Paint John's Trophy thingy-me-jiggy, whatever it was. You know, but I think I'm not convinced that he's a type of player that is going to, you know, keep us in the Championship for a start. It's a tough one because
but he's playing for Ipswich, Mike. Sorry to cut across you, and you know, a tweet like that today is there to, you know, it's surely it's, you know, great stuff, Kayden, really good. Some of the stuff you read, it's almost like you're reading it about a player that plays for somebody else, or even worse.
Yeah, I mean,
at times.
I just think that, like I say, you know, if you want someone to run around the pitch and do the amount of miles that he's doing,
he's your man.
He's your man. But then you can get a long distance runner to do that. Do you know what I mean? You can get a 1500 meter runner to do that, and he can do 1500 meters in a game. You know what you need is that, you know, you need a player that doesn't make one pass to help create a goal. You need that player to make 4 or 5 decent passes, you know, a half. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, Kayden, for me, hasn't offered that. He hasn't offered it for a long time. Was he played out last? He was played out wide left a bit, weren't he? So look, that's not his natural position. I get a bit frustrated with Man United and playing, you know, watching Greenwood and Rashford playing in positions when they've scored a lot of goals from more central roles, and it just, I don't know, it just seems sometimes a little bit sort of strange to put sort of a square peg in a round, you know, in a round hole, like
absolutely
like playing Kayden out wide. You know, so yeah, it's a strange one.
Mike, it's been a pleasure as always.
Thanks for having me on.
Don't be a stranger. Come back on soon, all right? Look after yourself. Lewis,
guys,
Mike makes some great points there, Lewis. But Kayden, is his work rate, is his mental attitude, is his attitude, that's the word I'm looking for, his attitude, is that what you want more of around the football club? Because this is a player who's been told he can leave. He's not wanted. He's not played. But here he was yesterday, starting a game of football, and as the manager said, because he's worked hard. Do you not want more of him? Perhaps not the ability as such, but his attitude around the place, because that's what you want, isn't it? Committed parts of the squad.
Yeah, I mean, I was as surprised as anyone, and you know, I put a tweet out about Kayden Jackson starting. So who am I to then necessarily knock other people? But I saw the tweet earlier from the club about how far intense running he put in during the game. I didn't even click on the comments because I kind of guessed what comments would come back from that from certain people. Yes, in answer to your question, I think across the board, you want people running, you want people working hard and trying to put themselves in that shop window. And Rich mentioned it earlier. Who would have thought that he'd be in the squad or getting game time over Joe Pigott at the start of the season? But Kieran McKenna's clearly seen something. He came in and said everyone starts with a clean slate. Jackson's worked hard, clearly, to get himself minutes off the bench and then get a start. And he worked hard last night. I agree with what Mike said in that you can run and run and run, but are you necessarily hurting the opposition with those runs at times?
Yeah.
What I mean by that is there were a couple of times, and he seemed to play more centrally first half, I felt, and then he got moved over wider second half. There was a change in system slightly. But when Wes Burns gets the ball, the area that Wes Burns is normally looking to hit it is low and hard to the near post. And that's where Bond got a lot of his goals. And the same goes for Norwood as Jackson. I didn't see either of them enough busting a gut to get in near post to turn them in. There were a number of hard, low crosses put in that the Wimbledon player was able to clear, possibly slice it out for a corner, put it out for a throw, but they were hit in at pace. And I just wanted slightly smarter runs to try and get in ahead of the man, get something on the ball. You may even turn it in, as Bond's demonstrated plenty of times. So possibly some of that's coming from playing games together. The thing I would say is there were times when you could see Jackson was getting frustrated with his own contribution, his final ball. But after the first Burns goal went in, if you watch the highlights back, you will see Jackson runs over towards the crowd, both arms aloft. He looked more confident even in that moment. Now, he contributed to the goal. I think Norwood made his pass that was behind Norwood look better than it actually was because it was a great turn from Norwood.
Mm-hmm.
Jackson contributed to that goal. He got the ball out wide, took it on, laid it inside, regardless of whether it was behind Norwood. And as I say, you could visibly see him sort of relax and celebrate and show that elation. So I think we need to trust McKenna on this one. If he's going to get more minutes over the coming weeks, he's got the blue shirt on, as you say. Let's get behind him, and goals will change people's opinion. If he gets the winner against Sheffield Wednesday on Saturday and then follows that up with a goal against Gillingham the following week, we're all going to be quite happy. As per Norwood, who people had their doubts over, myself included, he's worked his way back into the team. So I do think McKenna has given everyone a clean slate, and it's now up to people to take that opportunity when they get it.
Absolutely, yeah. So, okay, we'll close the look back on last night's show there. Let's move on now to this weekend, Sheffield Wednesday. We've got 1 to 11's player connection, but first let's hear from about our new corporate partner, Woodpecker Mortgage and Protection. Hello, you lovely lot. I am here very quickly to discuss Woodpecker Mortgages and Protection, run by Ipswich Town fan Graham. So you're in good hands if you go with Woodpecker Mortgages and Protection. I want to discuss the income protection service they do with you. You all know me and you all know my story. Literally one day I went out into that big wide world, the scary world, and I had an injury which left me disabled and unable to work. Just like that, I lost my income. Just like that. That's a click there. Crazy. This may have been an answer to a prayer, because obviously when you can't work, you can't earn. And when you can't earn, your bills are still going to be there wanting to be paid, like children needing to be fed. This could have been an answer to my prayer and taken some stress away from me and let me focus on my mental and physical health. Income protection insurance, it's not for everybody, but it might be for you. So give Graham a call on 01636 337 447 or email graham@woodpeckermortgages.co.uk. And I must say, your home may be repossessed if you do not keep up repayments on your mortgage. You know it makes sense, you lovely people. There we go. Woodpecker Mortgage and Protection. Link is in the chat. Have a look. May not be for everybody, as I say. Right. Player connections. I have pulled out 2 players from a lengthy list. One, I would say, is particularly easy. One is maybe particularly hard. We are currently on 70 likes, 100 like target. So please do like the show if you are watching and enjoying what you see. I'll give you an option. I've got player A, player B. Lewis, you're the new guy. I'll let you decide if you want player A or player B. There's 2 questions and 1 clue should you need it. Player A or player B? Who do you want?
I'll go player B.
Okie dokie. Right. Question 1. I made 2 appearances for Town in 2006. I am a striker. And I do have 1 clue for you as well. So do you know who this could be?
Adam Proudlock.
Fucking bang on the money. Look at this. I thought that was the hard one. Wow, get in there. Look at that. Adam Proudlock. The clue was bleach blonde or natural. But there he is. Adam Proudlock. Lewis, where did that come from?
Well, you gave us a bit. I didn't do any research online or anything like that because you obviously didn't give us any of the clues. But you mentioned that there would be potentially players that have played for both teams. So I tried to spend the afternoon when I should have been working thinking about obscure connections. And yeah, I just remember. I'm sure when Adam Proudlock played for Sheffield Wednesday, they had the and someone will probably correct me. Can you remember the lollies, Chupa Chups? I'm sure they used to be sponsored by them. And he was always slightly overweight. And I just remember him running around in a Sheffield Wednesday shirt with Chupa Chups. And yeah, I just remember the bleached blonde hair and not really much of a contribution when he came to us. So
No.
I'm surprised he only played 2 games. But yeah.
50 games for Wednesday and 9 goals, though. So, you know.
I seem to remember he was at Wolves as well and was always quite highly rated. But yeah, he didn't really contribute for Town, unfortunately, did he?
It has to be said. These stats are all from Wikipedia, so some might be right, some might be wrong. I don't know. I'll try my best, but bang on the money. Now, obviously, if you've not yet seen an away day guide with Amy and myself, we do a player connections quiz in that show as well. I think there was loads for Wednesday to choose from, so check it out. It's only a half an hour. Every time we have an away day, there'll be one on the platform. Tom, your player A, here he is. Right. 115 appearances, 2 goals. Born in Norwich. Can you tell me who that might be? I have got a clue for you if you do need it.
I think I will need it, yeah.
Okay, you think you will?
Yeah.
Okay. He has been on this platform. We have done I have done an interview with this man. So it is available for you to watch should you so want to, which I think you should. It's really good.
Darren Curry? That doesn't sound right to me.
Afraid not. Lewis, do you think you might know who it is for a steal?
I was going to say Alex Bruce, but I've seen Crunchers put it in the comments. So
That's fine. Yeah, no. You can go with Cruncher if you want. He might be right, but you can go with him if you want. He doesn't know.
that was my first thought. So yeah, I'll stick with Alex Bruce.
He says Bruce's goals against Chelsea and Birmingham, and you would be correct. Alex Bruce is player number 1, player A. 115 appearances, 2 goals, one of course at Chelsea. Tom, do you remember that goal at Chelsea?
I was there.
So was I. Talk me through it. Relive the moment with me.
Oh God! Free kick goes in, little bit of a scramble. Bruce is at the back post, kicks it in, and we all go mad in the shed end. It's great.
Runs away, kisses the badge.
Yeah.
I think it got back to 1-1, wasn't it?
It was 1-1 at half time, and then I think Ballack and Lampard put some pearlers in, and we just couldn't come back from that.
Yeah, but that was a moment, T, where I was genuinely believing. We got the equaliser, belief suddenly. Danny Haynes blazed over the bar, I think, at 1-1, and we had the chances to hurt them. But you're right, Ballack just did what Ballack does best, and I can still see Richard Wright desperately diving for that free kick at our end. He's never going to get there with 2 goalkeepers. Absolutely amazing. Do you remember anyone remember what Alex Bruce's chant was from the North Stand when he played? It was simple but superb, all at the same time.
Bruce.
It was just that, yeah. Bruce. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Anyway, there's plenty more to choose from. There's just the 2. Congratulations there, Lewis. 2-0 to yourself today. We'll do that again another time. Go on.
I was going to say, talking of amazing free kicks and slightly going off town, anyone seen the free kick from the Comoros player against Cameroon the other day?
No, is it good? Is it?
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you know the backdrop. I don't want to get off track too much, but obviously it's AFCON at the moment, African Cup of Nations. Comoros couldn't field a goalkeeper, so their left back had to go in goal. A bit suspect, given that they were playing Cameroon, who are the hosts, but there you go.
Well, injuries and COVID and a whole range of things is what I heard. I think is the case.
Yeah, just all sorts of reasons. They couldn't field a goalkeeper, got told they had to put an outfield player in goal. They had a player sent off, and some people may remember him from Millwall, Jimmy Abdu, centre midfielder. He's their captain. He got sent off after 10 minutes. They were 2-0 down. Last 5 minutes, this bloke spanked a free kick in from about 40 yards, and I would really encourage you to check it out if you haven't seen it. And how they lost that game only 2-1, I mean, fair play to them, the team spirit, but that goal was unbelievable. It is definitely worth checking out.
Absolutely. Heidi, I was married to a Chelsea fan and sat with home fans. It was awful not being able to cheer. Oh, Heidi, we were in the away section cheering for you. It was a magical moment. I will, Jimmy Abdu. I remember watching him in the playoff semi-final when they were in League One, Lewis, and thinking Town should sign him. He was just a tremendous player for Millwall.
Football Manager legend back in the day.
You know it. You know it. Happy birthday to Heidi for tomorrow. And of course, it was EJ Norris's birthday on Tuesday. Happy belated birthday to EJ only yesterday. Christ, seems like Tuesday was years ago. Right. We have got Wednesday. Let's bring in the GOAT for this part of the show. Colin, how are you, my friend?
Oh, God. Yeah, fine. Thanks, mate. Yeah, brilliant.
Good stuff. Puncher says Abdu must be 40. Yeah, well, he must be. Jake, are you going live tomorrow? Afraid not, Jake. I'm at a budgie AGM tomorrow, so I'm going to be doing some other hobbies of mine. Colin, we had a good conversation last night about Sonny Aluko. We won't say who gave the rating, but you're not very impressed with the rating he got today, are you?
Oh, do you know what? Obviously, always get me used to angling, and that. I like to judge things, I like to. We
won't say who it is, Colin, but then you just list the paper. I love you. I love you so much.
I like to, see what other people's thoughts are and that. And I opened it up this morning. I thought, on the 2 pages from the back, and I thought to myself, oh my God, am I actually reading this right? I mean, look, I said last night I gave him 8.5. You can't give him 8.5 in the angling, so. I would have expected to see an 8 there this morning because he weren't getting as many as Burns. But he got a 6. But I'll leave it at that, I mean, that was not a 6 out of 10 performance by Aluko last night.
No.
Not in a month of Sundays. But there you go. That's his opinion.
What would you have given him, Colin? What honestly, what would your rating have been of Sonny Aluko?
I would have given him 8 last night.
8, yeah. Cruncher says Aluko wasn't an 8, no chance. Lewis, you were there. What would you have given Sonny Aluko?
Sorry, Colin. I'm going to give him a 6. And look, I'm a massive fan of Aluko. I think he's done great since he's come in. I just don't think it for whatever reason, I just don't think it came off for him last night. Tried a few twists, turns, as he always does. He's got such a good low centre of gravity. Just unfortunately turned into trouble. Went on another day, he's turned into space. And yeah, I think Wimbledon marshalled him well. So it's not a reflection necessarily on Aluko. They played him well last night. Also, as well, firstly, congratulations to him on having baby over the weekend. But
yeah, absolutely.
I don't think I would have been able to play, well, even Sunday League. I'm not saying I'd ever play League One anyway, but yeah, going out there and playing less than 72 hours after having a baby is obviously a bit of a challenge as well. So, and that just brings you back to all players are human. They have different things going on in their life. So yeah, like I say, I'd give him 6, but I don't think that's any reflection on him. And I see him contributing a lot between now and the end of the season. I've been really impressed by him. And I also think this month we need to tie him down to a longer contract than the end of the season. Let's get him on another year. And yeah, I've been impressed, but not so much last night.
I saw your face when Lewis was talking there, Colin. I've just had a sneak peek sent to me of your Christmas card list. Can you confirm that is true? Lewis, you have been scrubbed off the GOAT's Christmas card list. You are no longer on it for an opinion on like that on the Aluko. 6. Colin's face was
I've got 11 months to get back on the list. So watch this space.
Lewis, you'd never be off it, mate. Look, like I said to Cruncher this morning. Gav, stop that. Like I said to Rich this morning, it's all about opinions. I only gave him 8 last night on the basis of, and Gav knows exactly what I'm going to say, so does Rich, of his ball retention. I thought his ball retention last night was really, really good. But, it is what it is. And I'll tell you what we'll do, Lewis. We'll settle on 7, right, between the both of us, and you're back on my Christmas card list.
There we go. Right. DJ, we have got your 1 to 11 here. I'll get your thoughts then, Colin. I'll get your thoughts on TJ's proposed 11. He's gone for a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-3. What would you call it, TJ?
Yeah, it's a 3-5. I don't know what the hell you call it, to be honest, because it's almost like a 3-5-2, but the front three have kind of been playing a bit fluid, haven't they? So they've kind of been floated around off the main striker. But yeah, so a couple of them are subject to them being fit at all, when Evans and Penny are probably a bit suspect at the minute. Yeah, it's kind of probably expected up front. I think Bond will come back in. Selina and Chaplin, I think, need to play and start. I'd have Evans with Carroll, but it's probably going to be Bakinson at this rate. And yeah, Penny against his old club, he'll have something to prove. But again, that's if he's fit and if we've got a left back at all.
Colin, Evans and Carroll, it's a big if, and we'll know more on Friday's show, of course. But if Evans is fit, is it Evans and Carroll, or is it Evans and Bakinson for you?
That's a very difficult one, Gav, to be perfectly honest. I think after last night, I think Bakinson, again, look, Lewis was there, and I really appreciate the fact that people who go, I've been to loads and loads of games, and you do see the game, obviously, from a different viewpoint if you're actually at the ground. From what I saw from the one camera last night, I thought Bakinson done well. I thought he did really well, considering like he's only had a couple of training sessions and all the rest of it. I think it'd be difficult. I would have thought that McKenna would probably would know straight away, but I'd say maybe 60-40 Evans, but it'd be very close.
Okay, and also Lewis. No, I won't come to Lewis just yet because I'm going to come to your team in a second. TJ, you've gone for Penny as the left back option. Obviously, you've got potentially Coulson back on the grass. Don't know how fit he is. You've got Bailey Clements. You've got Cameron Burgess, who Alex floated on the Fans React show last night. You've gone for Penny. Talk us through why you've gone for Matt Penny on his return to Hillsborough.
Yeah, if he's fit, he's playing against his old club. That might be something in it, but he's played more games than the other contenders we've got there. And if not spectacular, he can be steady. And as long as we probably give him a bit of cover on that side, I think it might do a job. That left side isn't sorted yet for us, and I think it needs sorting this window or in the summer. But we've not had that set all season, to be honest. So it's just what I think was probably the best of not the best bunch at the minute.
Yeah, that's why I didn't ask Colin, TJ, because if I'd asked Colin about Matt Penny, well, I haven't got the time to be sitting here for a 4-hour rant on how bad he is, Colin.
Look,
see, look at that smile. Look at that smile, ladies and gentlemen. He knows. He knows.
Gav, you've got a decent memory. I know that. And you know the last thing I said about Matt Penny.
It's true.
He has grown on me since he's been winged back. Do we actually know how far away Coulson is, Gov?
Well, the last we heard, the last I remember was Kieran McKenna. I think it was post Wickham, certainly before the new year, if I'm right in thinking the time frame. But then again, I don't even know it's Wednesday, let alone the time frame. But I think he said he was back on the grass. So he could well be. Cruncher's in the chat. Cruncher speaks to people a lot more than I do. So he could let us know. But we'll just jump to Lewis on that instance. I think, Lewis, you've gone for... Who have you gone for? You've gone for Edwards, which is a new name. So we'll come to you on that one in a minute, Colin. You've gone for Edwards at left wing back with Carroll and Bakinson in the centre of midfield. That is what, a 3-5-2? Is it, Lewis?
Yeah, I think it's interchangeable. So he seems to like having one striker with two players up in support. So I think Selina and Chaplin can probably play either side of Norwood as well. But yeah, kind of bordering on a 3-5-2, yeah.
Okay, and you've gone for Edwards in the left wing back position. Talk me through the whys before I ask Colin on his opinion on that one.
I think it comes down to, firstly, giving Edwards a chance in that position. And I think he does work back as well. He tracks back as well as looking to go forward. He's been back and available for the last couple of weeks. And I picked the team not knowing where Penny and Coulson were at in terms of fitness. KVY is obviously suspended. Give it a go and let's take the game to Sheffield Wednesday, because I agree with what Rich said, and I'm sure Colin, as optimistic as ever, would agree that this game's here for the taking. We can take the game to Wednesday. They've picked up after a really bad recent run. But that's not to say we can't beat them. And I'd take the game to them by having Burns and Edwards out wide.
Can't hear you, Gav.
I'm on mute. Terribly sorry. I just said sorry. That's my fault. Completely my fault. Pressed the wrong button. I've only been doing this a while. It's not my first show. Sorry, it's completely my fault. Lewis's words. Give it a go. Take the game to them. And Cruncher says Coulson training for 3 weeks. So first of all, I guess Edwards, Lewis's inclusion there. What would you make of that if that was the case? Would you take it? Would you be interested?
Well, I did. I can't remember who it was. Somebody put in the chat earlier that Edwards had played left wing back for West Brom. Whether he'd be great defensively, and I'm not sure. I did like that side, Lewis, and that's not to try and get you back on my Christmas card list.
There's no Aluko, Colin, so I'm surprised at that response.
Well, no, Lewis, you obviously didn't hear me last night. I did actually say last night I wouldn't be surprised if Luco didn't start Saturday. And also, on the side you picked, which I thought was a very decent side, would Norwood start up front for me? I'm not 100% sure. I think it'll probably be Bon. Whoever starts, Bon or Norwood, I'll be at Hillsborough. I'll be right behind them. Edwards, like I say, okay. I'm not anti that, but I just worry about the defensive side of that. If I'm honest, away at Hillsborough, I don't know. But there again, gives you more attacking options. So, I'm a great one for the best form of defence is attack. And I'll tell you something else. What I kind of skirted over last night. I mean, whatever 18 goes up there on Saturday, it's a brilliant theatre up there. Fantastic stadium, fantastic atmosphere. It'll be up there. So it'll probably be 27,000, 28,000, I should imagine, something like that on Saturday. If you can't go up there and get yourself every one of those 11 who start that game on Saturday, plus the 3 who come on as substitutes, those 14 players, let's just say, who will be involved with that game on Saturday. If you can't get yourselves up for that game, you shouldn't be playing. You really should not.
Well said. Well said. All things considered, one word answer. All things considered, if Hayden Coulson can go, if Matt Penny can go, if Carl Edwards can go, if Bailey Clements can go, who's your left back for Saturday? Tom?
If he's fit, Coulson.
Lewis?
Coulson.
Colin?
Coulson all day long.
Okay, Coulson is unanimous. Let us know in the chat. All things considered, if they're all fit, who gets the nod from yourselves? Right.
And by the way, Cruncher, I do know Chaplin scores more goals than Aluko.
He does.
Get that fishing rod out, Cruncher.
Absolutely. Stephen Parry, Coulson. Norman Greenwald, Coulson. Matt Stannard, Coulson. Ben Moore, Coulson. Cruncher, Coulson. Again, Coulson is getting... I wish he could stay fit because he's a tremendous player. Keep letting us know in that chat. Right, score predictions for Saturday. Colin, as you're going, you can kick us off. What do you think the score will be, my man?
2-1 Ipswich.
Love it. Playoff dreams well and truly alive. Lewis, what do you think the score will be, my man?
2-0 Ipswich.
2-0 Ipswich. Look at this. I tell you, this actually was to come off. I'd be in heaven 5:10 on the Saturday evening. Tom, Are you going to complete the hat trick, or are you going to put a little bit of water on our playoff passion and fire?
2-2.
I love it. You've got to have somebody at least be a little bit real. All things considered, though, guys, if that, a win or a point, you've got Wycombe playing Milton Keynes Dons. That's a huge game at the weekend. That could really help us. Gillingham obviously kept a clean sheet last night playing Oxford.
Sorry to cut in. Sorry to cut in, Gov. Is that at Wycombe?
It is. Wycombe Wanderers, MK Dons, 3 o'clock kickoff at Wycombe. Yeah, that could really help us, because they're obviously sitting in 5th on 49. We're on 41. Come 10 past 5. Go on.
Who do Plymouth and Oxford play Saturday? If you don't mind me asking.
No, not at all. In fact, it's a great question. I'll bring it up on the screen and we can have a look at the fixtures together. So let me looking at them. There we go. So you've got Plymouth, Oxford are away at Gillingham, who kept the clean sheet last night. They're a little bit resurgent under new management. I think it's an interim manager still. And you asked about Plymouth. Plymouth are not playing. Oh, I can't see them on that list. So perhaps
away at Donny.
Away at Doncaster. There we go. Great eyes, Tom. Great eyes. That's why you're a darts player. Away at Doncaster. So you would expect them to get a result there. But they are wavering a little bit, Lewis, our Plymouth.
Change of manager, isn't it? And unfortunately, I think they're a team that have got a good starting 11. They put a good team together. But it's about having that strength in depth that we're obviously finding out to, we've picked up suspensions, we've picked up injuries, but think about the players we've listed that could potentially come in. We've got that depth that maybe Plymouth haven't got. Yeah,
good point. Really good point. Do you think they'll get back in the top 6 now they're out of it, TJ? Plymouth? Do you think they're on the way down? And as Cruncher said early part of the year, they haven't got enough about them and they'll fizzle out.
Not sure, to be honest. They defended quite well at the start of the season, and if you look at all the Reds in those columns in the top teams, there aren't too many kicking about, so could be quite tight.
Yeah, that's why 4th versus 5th, Colin. Wycombe versus MK Dons. For us, if we do what we need to do, of course, it all comes down to that at the end of the day. But if we do, that's a big game for us because you could move within touching distance of MK Dons, couldn't we?
A draw would be a fantastic result in that game, in my opinion.
Craig,
if we go and get our 3 points at Sheffield Wednesday, a draw would be a very good result in that game.
Absolutely. But as Cruncher says, forget what the teams do, concentrate on doing our own job.
Yeah, totally agree with that.
But it's not my job to do, Cruncher, so I'm going to sit here and amuse myself by looking at MK Dons' fixtures for the rest of the year. Plotting their downfall.
I would add with regards to us, I don't think, take away the Morsey red card, the last 2 matches, Accrington home, AFC Wimbledon away, they're probably not going to live really long in the memory. If we get to where we need to be, those 2 games are not going to necessarily be, the glory moments that we've already experienced this season with the win at Portsmouth, the win at Wycombe, those kind of jump off the page victories. But if we are going to get to the playoffs and get to where we need to be, the last 2 games have been absolutely critical. And we've ground out results that you said earlier that we maybe wouldn't have got at the beginning of the season. And that is what will get us into that. We don't need spectacular 6-0, 4-0 away victories. It's those 1-0s, it's those 2-1s. It's going to the places where we should win.
Do you know what, Lewis? I was thinking exactly the same thing to myself today. When we come to the last couple of games, like Crewe away and Cheltenham at home, we will be thinking big time about these last 2 scrappy-ish kind of games. I absolutely, totally agree with that, Lewis. Because at the end of the day, like it's been said, God knows how many times over the last 3 or 4 days, under Paul Cook and under the previous regime, we might have got 1 point out of those 2 games. And that just would not have been good enough.
It would have
not
been
good enough whatsoever.
We would have won 1 game 4 or 5-0, and we would have lost the other game 1-0, and we would have ended up with 3 points. Whereas instead, we've ground up 6, and that's what we've needed to do, and that's what we've got to continue to do. So, you know, grind something out against Sheffield Wednesday, and then go on and grind again and again and again.
Another thing, Lewis, I'd like to say about the game on Saturday. I think because it'll be a lovely, I'm sure it will be. It'll be a lovely pitch up there. Decent conditions. I've looked at. I think there'll be decent conditions. Lovely pitch, big pitch. They play football, which, you know, people like Bannon. You say what you like about the player. He likes to play. People like that like to play the game properly, and I think that'll suit Town down the ground. I really do. Players like, you know, and bring it on. You know, if you want to play, if you want to come like the school kids, if you want to come out and play, let's go out and play. You know, because I think that'll suit Town down the ground. Absolutely. I really do.
But for tonight, Colin, we are done. It's in the books. We are on to the press conference reaction show, as they say. So we are back. That's right. Tomorrow is a night off for the channel. We take a pause from our almost daily content. We are back Friday, 8:30 for the press conference reaction. Kieran McKenna's views and comments ahead of Wednesday game. You can support us through Ko-Fi. Links in the chat, in the description, or become a YouTube member. We just mine's not maybe back. Okay, no problem. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, we've got a like target as well of 100. We're currently a few away from that. We've got a good show, everyone. Thank you very much, Matt Stannard. Looking forward to the game. It's gonna be a good one. I'm really quite intrigued. And it's time to end the show with. I've just planned a show for February the 14th. I have 2 contributors. It is MK Don or post MK Dons. Let me know on Twitter how I'm going to tell Mrs. Gov how I'm busy now on Valentine's Day. Help me.
We're on a journey, looking back on the things that we've taken for granted, but feels like we're learning to be better without what's been holding us back.